And welcome back, guys, to my prediction of the next round of the FIDE World Cup. I recorded my prediction for round number 4, and tomorrow the 5th round of the FIDE World Cup starts. So first of all, let's see on how I did with my predictions of round number 4, and then we move on to my next predictions. So here we see it. The first pairing which we have in front of us is going to be Svane against Najdorf. So in that case, I believe that I was correct with my prediction that Svane is going to advance against Sicilian. However, I was incorrect on my prediction from Yu Yongyi against Yabukir Najdorf. Obviously, I was hoping for Yu Yongyi to advance since it would probably make me feel better about myself for losing against him, but obviously he's a very strong player anyway, and his match against Najdorf was also extremely close. They, even though he lost in the first tiebreak, he did not need to lose that game. He was defending extremely well there and lost in like 130 move game in a queen endgame, and I think even that he lost on time in the end. So we're gonna go back to the next pairing after that on my prediction for that. But first, let's move on to how the others did. Grandelius against Hari Krishna, I was correct with that one as well, that Hari did manage to win against Niels in the tiebreak. And he is going to face off against Martinez in the next round, which I predicted incorrectly, and Martinez actually won a very easy match from what I could tell. I mean, not easy in that sense, but surprisingly, he won his first game with the black pieces, which I could never have imagined, since Sarana is an incredibly solid player, especially with the white pieces, and typically is kind of from this Russian school and does not really give black too many chances in most of the games. But Martinez is staying strong and is moving on to the next round to face Hari Krishna. So I'm counting now. This was the first prediction I got wrong. Let's see how many there were. Next one was Pranav against Yakuboev, which I was correct, if I remember correctly, that Yakuboev advances to the next round, and he's going to play against Sargsyan. Sargsyan also correct, since many people in the comments were joking that I only picked the rating favorites. That was not correct. Sargsyan was one of them. I think there were two who has a lower rating than Lianga Wonder, but still I went for him just because of his experience, which then in the end also paid off, and he advances to the next round to face Norderbek Yakuboev. Next one, also correct. I'm not only saying this just to boast, but just to get the facts straight. Le Quang beat Kartik Venkataraman in the classical portion with 1.5 to 0.5. And the next one, which I was wrong, was Bluebaum against Donchenko. I picked Bluebaum since he was in such a good form recently, but so is Donchenko, and he beat Bluebaum in a very nice game in the classical portion. He used his white pieces again, which he also did against Anish Giri in a very nice manner. So Donchenko is definitely someone to watch out for, especially if he has the white pieces. He has this kind of power play. I've also played against him on numerous occasions, and especially with the black pieces, it's quite difficult against him because he has quite a good repertoire in general, but specifically from if he's playing white, it's quite uncomfortable to face him. Next one, which I was wrong, was Prag against Dubov. Some of you guys also in the comment section were saying that Dubov is definitely not an easy opponent for Prag, which then turned out to be the case as well. And Dubov had quite a convincing match, I have to say as well. He's generally playing quite solid in this tournament. Like always, what I thought about, if you hear the name Dubov, you're always thinking of creative opening ideas and dynamic brilliancies. But more recently, he's been playing more and more solid. And I've watched his interview from today, where he's also saying that, funnily enough, his strategy is actually to not really aim for anything with the white pieces, because anyway, everyone is prepared so well that he's basically playing for the black pieces, and that's kind of what he's been doing in this tournament. Now it all makes sense. I was wondering before why he makes some short draws with the white pieces. I think in the tiebreak against Georg Meyer before, he offered a draw after a couple of moves from the white side, but his strategy seems to be paying off. and he won a good match against Prague. And in the next round, he's going to face off against Shankland, which I also had wrong. I put my horses, I think you say it like this, on report, but Shankland won the match quite convincingly in the tiebreak section and is heading on to face Dubov in the next round. Now let's move on. Another guess which I had incorrect was Vachier-Lagrave against Grebnev, which I guess I was not the only wrong to pick that incorrectly, because Vachier is just such an experienced match player and player in general. And even though Grebnev is very strong and up and coming, I could not have believed that Vachier is going to be knocked out at this stage of the event. But kudos to Grebnev, who has already beat Navarra among some others in this tournament to advance to the 5th round of the FIDE World Cup. And in the next round, we have the Russian Derby. He's going to face off against Andrei Yesipenko, another pick which I had wrong since he lost against Vincent Keimer. He won against Vincent Keimer, my apologies, in the tiebreaks, which is something I'm a bit sad about, because I really like Vincent and like also, well, first of all, his personality, but also his playing style overall. And I would have really liked him to advance further and even to qualify for the candidates, which in my opinion, he would really deserve. Next up, we have Vailly against Maksudlu. That was another pick which I had correctly, even though the match was incredibly close. Like at some point, I thought that Maksudlu was going to advance to the next round. There was this tiebreak, I think it was in the Blitz already, where Vailly then in the end also won. The first game there where Maksudlu had the white pieces, it was some Nimzo Indian with e3, and Maksudlu there had kind of a winning advantage, and in the end Vailly managed to turn it around, and then because of that managed to win the match, which I also feel like is deserved in a sense, because Vailly also had a winning position in the classical portion with the black pieces, where Maksudlu then managed to defend the position. But still, I am, even though Maksudlu is a cool guy, I'm also looking forward to seeing Vailly in the next round, because yeah, he's also a fantastic player. And finally, actually not finally, we still have a couple more pairings. We have Sevian against Lodici, which was probably the most exciting match of today. They went into the sudden death match or Armageddon match, where Lodici then in the end succumbed to Samuel Sevian. That was an incredibly tough match and underlines the fact that Lodici is really a player to watch out for, very dangerous player overall. And he could have also definitely earned the spot for the next round. Like the match was completely level. At some point, I also thought that Lodici is going to advance, but here I had the correct pick with Sam Sevian, but it could have turned out either way, honestly speaking. Aronian against Wojtaszek, I also had that correctly. You can also check out my Game 1 recap from their match, where Levon invented this kind of new opening together with Fabiano Caruana, who was actually one of the first ones to play that. Definitely check out that video from 2 days ago. And he is going to play against Arjun Erigaisi, who unfortunately, in my opinion, beat Peter Leko. I really like Arjun, but I like Peter even more, and I would have loved to see him advance one more round and face off against Levon Aronian. That would have been a fantastic pairing. Both of these legends playing against each other. Now we have Levon against Erigaisi, which is also going to be a fantastic pairing to watch out for. So I think that I had like 3 or 4 of them incorrect. Probably it was like 4, but overall I'm quite content with my picks. Now let's move on to the next round, the pairings which we are going to see. So first one is Frederick Svane against Javokir Sindarov. I didn't gather any thoughts before recording this, so I'm doing my picks here completely spontaneously. And this one is difficult specifically. I'm going with Frederick just because he's on such a good run, beating none other than Gukesh before. Sindarov is also very strong, and he has had a great tournament so far as well, beating Yu Yang-Yi in the tiebreaks. But anyway, I'm going to go for Svane Frederick in that one. Next up, we have Hari Krishna against Martinez, where I have to stick with Hari just out of loyalty to my former employer. And also because of the fact that I believe, like this is only my feeling, that maybe some of Martinez's previous opponents might have underestimated him a little bit, which is completely unfair, as we can see. Maybe I'm also completely wrong in that regard. Maybe that was not the case. But, well, he beat now Abdusattorov 2-0. He beat Sarana very convincingly in that match as well. And now I think it's becoming completely clear to everyone that he's a force to be reckoned with. And I think that this is obviously going to be clear for Harry, and therefore he's really going to show his best chess, as he is in all of the other games, obviously. But he will not see him as a minor player, that's all I'm saying, which I have a feeling might have been the case in some of Martinez's previous matches, since everyone is thinking of him as more of a rapid and blitz specialist, myself included, also before this event. But now it's becoming clear that he simply hasn't had a lot of chances to prove himself in classical chess. Now he does, and yeah, we can see that he's a very, very serious opponent. Still, I'm going with Harry on that one. Now we move on to Yakubov against Sargsyan, where, yeah, I have a feeling that Yakubov is going to advance, but still I'm going to pick Sargsyan, just because he's had a good tournament, and I just really like his playing style overall, as I've also discussed in the previous video as well. So I'm just going to go with Gabriel Sargsyan, the very solid Super Grandmaster from Armenia. Next up, Lekfang Liem against Alexander Donchenko. Donchenko in fantastic form here, but in my opinion, it's going to be the end for him, and I'm going to pick Lekfang Liem. Lekfang is basically impossible or incredibly difficult to beat in a classical game, and he really excels at rapid and blitz formats, which makes him an incredibly difficult opponent in the World Cup format. It's going to be a tough match. This is my prediction, but I think it's going to be decided in the tiebreaks in favor of Lekfang Liem. This is my prediction for this matchup. Next up, we have Dubov against Shankland, where I'm going to go with Dubov, who, in my opinion, now is actually a great, or one of the great favorites for this tournament, because he has shown to be just incredibly solid in the classical games, and then in the tiebreaks he pushes it towards the blitz as far as he can, as far from what I can see, and he always uses the chances if he gets them. He did not do that, although in the classical game against Pragnananda, where he did have a winning position, which in the end ended in a draw, but still after that he managed to beat him, I would say, quite convincingly in the tiebreaks. So I'm going to go with Dubov in that match without going into further detail. Then we have Grebnev against Yesipenko. All of you guys are going to say that I'm just going to pick the rating favorites. Okay, I'm going to go with Yesipenko on that one. He just beat Vincent, which might give him some momentum, even though while I'm saying this, I'm also realizing that Grebnev has basically the same momentum by beating Vashila Graf in the previous round. But still, I'm going to go with Andrei in this one. But it's going to be a difficult match as well. I might regret this pick here, but still going to go with Yesipenko. YE against Sam Sevian. Here I have a clear tendency for YE. Sam is of course great, but I feel like YE is going to advance in that match. But I also have a feeling that that actually also might go to tiebreaks. I think that we're going to see a couple of tiebreaks in the next round. And finally, we have Levon Aronian against Arjun Erigaisi, where I will also... Actually, let me think. I was about to say I will go with Arjun, but let's stick with Levon for this one. Let's stick with Levon. He just played such an original idea in the previous game and played also great games overall. Not just the opening of that one. Also the remainder of the game, as you can find on my channel, was really, really fine. So I'm gonna go with Levon on this one. But of course, Arjun by rating is the favorite. But again, Levon, extremely experienced in the World Cup format. He's also one of the few players, I think, or maybe even the only one that has managed to win the World Cup twice, in fact. So that was it for my predictions. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, who is going to advance and where I was wrong with my picks. And yeah, apart from that, that was it for today. I'm heading to Croatia tomorrow to play the Croatian League. So the recaps are going to start once again on Saturday, where there is the first round. So I will see you guys then. And yeah, that was it for today. So see you on Saturday.